It's 2 a.m., your phone lights up, and suddenly the internet is buzzing with one explosive headline: $2,000 stimulus check. Trump says the dividend is coming. Is this real? Is money actually on the way? Or is this another rumor spreading faster than the facts? Stay with me, because in the next few moments we're breaking down exactly what's being claimed, what's confirmed, and what you need to know right now. Reports circulating overnight suggest that former President Donald Trump has reignited talk of a potential $2,000 stimulus-style payment, often referred to as a dividend. For millions of Americans struggling with rising prices, rent, groceries, and debt, this kind of announcement hits like a lightning bolt. Social media is exploding, search trends are spiking, and people everywhere are asking the same question: is this finally happening? But here's the truth most headlines won't tell you. There's a big difference between political statements, proposals, and actual checks being approved. In this video, we cut through the noise. We'll explain where this $2,000 figure comes from, what Trump has actually said, how a dividend would even work, and what steps would still be required before any money reaches your bank account. No hype, no fear-mongering. Just clear, authentic information so you're not left guessing. If you've ever missed out on important financial updates because the facts were buried under clickbait, this is the video you don't want to skip. Watch closely, stay informed, and protect yourself from false expectations. If you appreciate real breakdowns like this, hit the like button right now. It helps more people see the truth instead of the rumors. Now let's slow this down for a moment, because when headlines like this break in the middle of the night, emotions move faster than the facts. People wake up thinking, is this real money? Is this another stimulus? Do I qualify? And that reaction is completely understandable. Inflation hasn't disappeared. Rent is still high. Groceries cost more than they did just a year ago. So when the words $2,000 check and Trump appear in the same sentence, it instantly grabs attention. But to understand what's really going on, we need to look at what was actually said, what hasn't been said, and what would realistically need to happen next. First, let's talk about where this $2,000 number is coming from. Over the past several months, Donald Trump has repeatedly talked about the idea of what he calls a dividend to the American people. This is not a signed policy, not a passed bill, and not an active government program. It's a proposal concept, one that connects to revenues, trade policies, and broader economic messaging he's been using while campaigning. Some supporters interpret this as a potential direct payment, similar to stimulus checks issued during the pandemic. Others believe it could be tied to future economic growth or tariffs, and this is where confusion begins, because a dividend is not automatically the same thing as a stimulus check. During the COVID era, stimulus checks were emergency relief passed by Congress, signed into law, and funded through federal spending. They had clear eligibility rules, payment systems, and timelines. What's being discussed now is very different. There is no bill currently approved that authorizes a $2,000 payment. There is no official government agency announcing deposit dates, and there is no confirmed eligibility list. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means we're still in the discussion phase, not the distribution phase. This is why it's so important to separate political messaging from policy reality. Campaign statements are designed to spark interest and support. Policies require legislation, votes, funding mechanisms, and time. Even if a future administration wanted to issue a payment like this, Congress would still need to be involved. That process doesn't happen overnight, and it definitely doesn't happen at 2 a.m. without paperwork. Now, let's address the word that's causing the most excitement here: coming. When people hear that word, they assume something is imminent. But in political language, coming can mean very different things. It can mean an idea being pushed. It can mean a promise tied to future leadership. Or it can mean a general direction, not a scheduled action. As of right now, there is no official confirmation from the U.S. Treasury, the IRS, or Congress that a $2,000 payment has been approved or scheduled. That's a critical point, and anyone telling you otherwise is skipping over the facts. At the same time, it's also fair to say that these discussions don't happen in a vacuum. Public reaction matters, economic pressure matters, and political momentum matters. When millions of Americans respond strongly to the idea of direct financial relief, it signals something important to policymakers. It shows that economic stress is still very real for everyday households. That's why these topics keep resurfacing, even years after the pandemic officially ended. Another thing we need to clear up is who would even qualify if something like this were ever approved. Right now, there are no eligibility requirements because there is no program. Anyone claiming that seniors, low-income households, or specific groups are guaranteed to receive this money is speculating. During past stimulus programs, eligibility was based on income thresholds, tax filings, and household size. If a future dividend or payment were ever proposed, it would almost certainly come with similar conditions. Until those details exist in writing, no one can honestly tell you who qualifies. Let's also talk about timing, because this is where misinformation spreads the fastest. Social media posts love to attach dates: checks next week, deposits Friday, money before the election. None of those claims are supported by official documentation. Government payments require systems to be set up, data to be processed, and legal authority to distribute funds. Even during emergencies, that process took weeks or months. So if you're seeing posts promising instant payments, that's your signal to pause and verify. So why does this story still matter if no checks are confirmed yet? Because it reveals something bigger about where the economy stands and what voters are focused on. Direct payments have become part of the national conversation. Whether people support them or oppose them, the fact that they're still being discussed shows that financial pressure hasn't eased for a large portion of the population. And that reality shapes political platforms, policy debates, and future proposals. It's also worth noting that misinformation thrives during moments of uncertainty. Scammers take advantage of viral headlines by creating fake websites, fake sign-up forms, and fake claim your check links. Let me be very clear about this. If there were ever a real payment, you would not need to click a link, pay a fee, or provide personal information through social media. Official payments do not work that way. Any request asking you to register for a stimulus or dividend right now is a red flag. What you should be doing instead is staying informed through verified sources and understanding the process before getting your hopes too high. That doesn't mean ignoring the news. It means watching it with clarity. Economic relief doesn't start as a check. It starts as a conversation, then a proposal, then legislation, then implementation. Right now, we're still at the conversation stage. As this story continues to develop, the key thing to watch is not headlines, but actions. Are bills being introduced? Are lawmakers debating funding? Are agencies issuing guidance? Those are the signals that move something from talk to reality. Until then, patience and awareness are your best tools. And if you're feeling frustrated by how confusing financial news has become, you're not alone. The speed of information today makes it harder to tell what's real and what's exaggerated. That's exactly why breaking things down calmly and honestly matters. You deserve facts, not hype. You deserve clarity, not panic. And you deserve to know the difference between a promise and a policy. As more information becomes available, we'll continue to break it down step by step, without exaggeration and without fear-based tactics. Because when it comes to your money, accuracy matters more than excitement. If this explanation helped you understand what's really happening behind the headlines, make sure you show your support. Hit the like button. It helps push clear, factual information to more people who are trying to make sense of the noise. Now let's take this one layer deeper, because the reason stories like this explode at 2 in the morning isn't accidental. Late-night breaking news triggers urgency. People are tired, stressed, scrolling, and emotionally open. That's when a headline promising financial relief hits hardest. And that's why it's so important to understand how these narratives form and why they spread the way they do. When money is tight, hope becomes powerful. And hope, when mixed with uncertainty, can quickly turn into confusion. The idea of a dividend especially sounds appealing because it feels earned, not borrowed. A stimulus check feels like emergency aid. A dividend sounds like a reward for being part of the system. That framing matters. It changes how people emotionally react to the idea. When Trump uses that word, it resonates with people who feel like they've paid into the system for years and gotten very little back. That emotional connection is real, and it's why the message spreads so fast. But emotional resonance doesn't automatically equal policy execution. We've seen this cycle before. Big economic ideas often start as broad promises. Then they're debated. Then they're reshaped. Some survive the process, others don't. What most people don't see is how many proposals never make it past the discussion stage. That's not pessimism. That's simply how government works. And understanding that process protects you from disappointment and manipulation. Another important detail that hasn't been talked about enough is funding. Any real payment program requires a source of money. During the pandemic, funding came from massive emergency spending bills. Those decisions were controversial, and the economic aftershocks are still being debated today. If a future payment were proposed, lawmakers would immediately question how it's funded, how it affects inflation, and how it impacts the national debt. Those debates take time, and they're rarely simple. This is also why no responsible official has announced a payment date. Dates come last, not first. Dates only appear after legislation is passed, systems are tested, and agencies are ready to distribute funds. Anyone claiming to know exact timing right now is guessing or intentionally misleading. And unfortunately, that kind of misinformation spreads faster than corrections. Let's also address the role of algorithms, because they play a huge part in why you're seeing this everywhere. Platforms reward emotionally charged content. A headline that says, "Possible future proposal under discussion," doesn't travel far. A headline that says $2,000 checks coming travels instantly. The algorithm doesn't care about nuance, it cares about engagement. That's why you, as a viewer, have to be more critical than ever. This doesn't mean you should tune out. It means you should tune in smarter. Ask simple questions. Who said this? In what context? Was it a policy announcement or a campaign statement? Is there documentation? Has any government agency confirmed it? Those questions cut through 90% of online noise. And let's be honest, part of the frustration people feel comes from the silence between announcements. When there's no clear update, speculation fills the gap. That's human nature. But silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It often means discussions are ongoing behind closed doors. Real policy work is slow, technical, and rarely dramatic. It doesn't trend on social media, but it's the part that actually matters. If you're watching this and feeling cautious, that's a good thing. Caution doesn't mean negativity. It means awareness. It means you're less likely to fall for scams, less likely to make financial decisions based on rumors, and more likely to stay grounded in reality. And right now, reality is this. There is discussion, there is political messaging, but there is no confirmed $2,000 payment program in effect. What you can do in the meantime is focus on what you can control. Stay updated through credible sources. Protect your personal information. Ignore anyone asking you to claim money that doesn't officially exist. And most importantly, don't let viral headlines dictate your expectations. Financial stability comes from planning, not panic. As this story evolves, clarity will come through actions, not words. Bills will be introduced or they won't. Votes will happen or they won't. Agencies will issue statements or they won't. Those are the milestones that matter. Until then, everything else is conversation. And conversations, while important, are not cash in your account. That's why videos like this exist. To slow things down, explain what's real, and give you the full picture instead of just the most exciting part. You deserve information that respects your intelligence and your situation. If you've stayed with me this far, it means you value understanding over hype. And that's exactly the kind of audience this channel is for. So before you move on, take 1 second to support content that prioritizes truth over clicks. Hit the like button right now. It helps this video reach more people who are searching for answers, and it tells the algorithm that facts matter.